I've had a huge breakthrough in how I'm selling. I'm in the office every day making outbound phone calls for 2 hours a day. That's progress. Okay? It's qualitative. Because see, you're not gonna uptick your outbound calls and then next week all of a sudden sell a lot more real estate. You do get that, right? It is the law of sowing and reaping is what's going to happen. Is you're going to sow, and then you're going to reap. So what a lot of people do that start practicing what I'm teaching, hit list, farm club, top 25, new customers, 2 hours of outbound calls, is you'll wake up at some point in the future and have the biggest month in real estate you've ever had, and then you're going to ask what? How'd this happen? Well, it didn't happen because of what you did yesterday. It happened because of what you did 3 months ago. You understand that, right? And we live in such an instant gratification world that that's really the problem is I'm going to do this today and it's going to work tomorrow. Okay, and that's a big fallacy. What's going to happen is I'm going to build and build and build and build, and then I'm going to wake up and boom, I'm going to be there. And it's going to be like, well, how did all this happen? Well, it all happened because of this constant sowing that I'm doing, okay? Progress can also be quantitative. That means I can measure it. That means I'm, right, it looks like, man, my numbers are ticking up, my calls are going up, my confidence is going up. I'm at a better point this year than I was this time last year. Okay, so give me some of that progress you feel like you're making. Then I want to hear from Christy and Karen on progress you're seeing about them, because I notice progress in my team in a number of ways, not only quantitatively, but qualitatively. Like I listen to their phone calls and I go, man, it's a lot more confident. I'm watching their follow-up and I may say, you need to follow up that person, and they may say, I've already done it. I've already sent them this. I may make suggestions like, well, you didn't send a video. No, I sent a video. And I notice these little things, but they're getting better every day, right? That's qualitative. I can feel them getting better. Okay, so talk to me about some of the progress you feel like you're making. I'm looking at you for some reason. You must have some progress, because well,
I'm making progress and feeling more confident. I'm using my greatness tracker, which is good.
Good.
I find that I do better when I put down my phone calls at the beginning of the week, as opposed to, well, I'll get to them and I'll fill them in as I go.
Okay.
And then the sheet's still blank at the end of the week. So if I write down everybody I need to call, not that they all get called, but it sure is nice to put a little check or highlight the name that I've done it.
Okay.
And I think that just the preparation for, I'm excited about talking about listing presentations today. I have an appointment tomorrow morning,
Good.
so this is going to be good.
Good, good. Because when you get in front of a person, you really need something valuable to say, where they go, this was good. I've not heard a real estate agent talk like this. That's why the EOS is critical, because most agents are not talking like that. I'm going to pick up a difference in you. I'm like, this is different than all the other, one of these kids is different than all the other kids. So it's very important that you have something valuable to say if you're going to make outbound calls, if you're going to get on the phone with people, and when you become really, really, really good, your confidence is going to be very high. And that's really what you're selling, is that transfer of confidence. If you're not confident, I'm going to pick up on that. And that's a problem, because in real estate, that's really what I'm buying in you, is a pit bull versus a poodle. You understand what I'm saying? I'm associating you with negotiating on my behalf. And if I think you're weak because of the way you communicate, then I'm sitting there going, is this the person I really want representing me? Okay, so that's good progress. So your confidence is higher. All right, good. Money always follows confidence. So if you want money, confidence is a prerequisite to getting some of it, okay? Money always follows energy. It always follows circulation. It always follows activity. It never follows stagnation. It very seldom follows insecurity, right? It follows like, I came to you because you're the real deal. And that's what everybody was telling me. Now, we did this big customer appreciation event the other night, and I walked away, and here's the #1 comment I heard, okay? And Christy can verify this. Everyone was floored at how good Randy Hauser was. He could sing. He was so clear and so powerful in his voice that I would go back to people, and he was like, my God, he was good. When you see a person, how many years do you think he's been singing to be that good? That his vocals are that strong. He don't entertain you. He don't run around the stage. He don't dance. He just stands up there like Adele, right? Like when you see Adele sing, what does she do? She just stands on that stage and just belts. She cusses a lot too, if you ever see her in concert, okay? But let me tell you what that woman can do, man. She can flat out sing. And when you're in the presence of someone who is that good, you walk away going, gosh, man, that was impressive. You know, whether you like their music or not, it's like they can really just go. Well, when I meet real estate agents and they're really, really good, how they coach a person, how they pivot, how they negotiate, how they follow up, I walk away going, man, she was good, right? And you can have that impression in one time. Just one time, okay? But some I walk away and I go, you know, man, I'd be very leery about putting my future in that person's hands because their lack of confidence, right? So how do you become that good? Over and over and over and making a lot of crappy phone calls. I mean, there's going to be times you make phone calls and tell your own self, did I really just say that? Was I really that bad? Did I really not have anything to say? Because today we're going to look at the top 3 objections you get and what you say when you get those objections. Because if you're really good, there's no objection that I can throw at you that you can't come back at me. Now, the Bible, I've got a pastor that I study who talks about biblical meditation, and his concept is when he meditates on the Bible, when he has negative thoughts during the day, he's already kind of armed himself for those negative thoughts. Well, I think a good salesperson has armed themselves for the objection they're going to hear. Like I've already meditated on what I want to say. So when you give me objection, I come right back at you. Why? I've heard it all. There's nothing you're going to throw at me that I haven't heard before, right? So an amateur sales professional, when they get objection, they can just kind of roll over and play dead. It's like, oh, okay, I'm already working with somebody. Oh, okay, just call me back if you ever need anything, right? A professional may say, well, how often do you talk to them? Because the person representing me on my real estate deals, I'd like to talk to every week, right? See, when you get that strong in your conviction, when people give you little softball responses, you're going to come right back at them and what I call challenge that prospect. Why? Because you're an expert. That's why you challenge them, because you know what you're doing, right? Why did I call you? Okay? Because I believe you're the best. So don't just roll over and play dead every time I push back. Give me some progress you're making.
Christy has been helping us give us suggestions on people. One of the things I struggle with is, okay, I have my core group of people that know me and my business is pretty much referral based, but I struggle with how do I get out of that? How do I get other people to tell them what I do? Yes, people who know me and love me know that's great, but not all of them are in my top 25 and giving me business. And that's okay, they're friends and whatever else, but maybe they know 500 real estate agents. So I've been coming to Christy saying, okay, I need to brainstorm. I mean, this is not rocket science, but I can't think of who else to talk. How do I approach them? And so she's been helping give us suggestions. And so I've met with 2 local elder care attorneys that we already have a relationship with. My husband is doing some business with them, so I use that. And then another one, a friend of mine who is an attorney, I went and had lunch with him and said, okay, I know your business. I mean, not that I don't want his business, and we spoke about what I do, and I just said, if you have family or friends, I'm not asking you to move, but if you have family or friends, I want to be the person that you think of, you know, when you hear a client or a coworker or whatever. I said, but I need you to introduce me to, I want another local elder care attorney. So he put me in touch with her, and I went and met with her, and that's the meeting I think I told you last time that when I was speaking to her, my EOS just kind of came out, and I was like, that's weird. Like, where'd that come from?
Yeah.
And she's shaking her head, yes, and she's writing down what I'm saying. I was like, oh my God. Like, okay. So today I'm following up with that. So I've met with another attorney. I'm trying to find someone who's more specializing in family law for divorce and things like that. But today I had lunch, just came from meeting with an accountant. So and I've got an insurance agent that I'm also
Good for you.
Sit down and talk with, and you know, and I kind of went in. I struggled to find a balance between being who I am and because I don't consider myself to be an aggressive, and I don't want to be that person that everyone runs away from. Oh my God, here she comes and she wants to buy, talk about real estate and make us sell something. I don't want to be that person, but I also need people to know this is what I do and it's my business and it's referral based. And so I went into lunch kind of with a game plan of this is what I want to say and this is how I want to say it.
Good for you.
And I took my marketing material with me. I think that makes a huge difference if you go and it's one thing to say this is what I do, it's another to hand them something and say, I'm a professional. This is my, this is what I do. And so we had a good conversation and I said, I would like to form a partnership with you, and so we just had a really good, I feel like, and so I need to be good about following up. I made sure I sent thank you notes to the people that I met with and sent my business cards with them, and then I'm gonna include them now in my mailings going forward and things like that, so I think that's good. Again, I don't think it's gonna happen tomorrow, but if each one of them thought of me twice
Right.
in the next 6 months or something, I think that'd be great.
Well,
Great.
you follow up with Thanksgiving cards and there's
Right.
opportunities
Yes.
that you can do today.
Yes.
Good for you.
exactly.
Good for you. I'm so proud of you. I could give you a big old kiss. If I wasn't happily married, I would. Get that on camera, Jack. My wife will love that. I am, but hey, that's the point. Here, she said a few things I want you to latch on to. I don't think you can really grow a mega business only relying on referrals. And this is a big myth I see a lot of people do. Oh, I got referrals. And I'm like, look, if you want to show the kind of jumps that I think you want to show in your business, you're going to have to pull out some other strategies than just referrals. And that means strangers, okay? That means new people that you're selling, not immediate sphere of influence. That means, so an example is I was in Huntsville yesterday coaching Weichert Realtors, and there was a mortgage rep there from Bancorp South. My first question, she come up and wanted, now think of this exchange. This is the exchange, okay? You want something from me. So she came up and wanted to know how to do this, how to do this, right? I gave it to her for free. That's an exchange. And then I said, what? Who at Bancorp South do I need to be talking to? She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, who's the main decision maker at your bank that makes a decision on training? Right? And would you introduce them to me? Have I given you enough value in 30 or 40 minutes? She said, absolutely. Okay, what's his name? Her name? How do we get in touch with them? How many reps are at Bancorp South? She's like, well, there's 177 that I think. You understand what I'm saying? You ought to be convicted enough to ask that question.
Yeah.
Well, if you believe in you, why you don't want to share it with other people? So this concept of strategic partnership, of you saying, look, referrals is good, but it's not enough. I got to go work a hit list, and a hit list is new money and new people. So she's doing exactly what she's being coached to do, which is get out there, and meet strangers. That's how you build a big business. You don't just sell to people you know. You sell to everybody. Now, there's a lot of people you know that you're not working. And that's on you. And they're friends that you ain't working, and that's on you. But to me, if you want to make a lot of money, you're going to have to get out there and sell to people you don't know. And the only way you do that is this exchange of energy I'm talking about. You get out, you work a hit list. You may have got nothing out of that, but you got the experience. So you got paid in one way.
Right.
Now, it ain't over. That's called an activation event. So she activated some energy, but she needs to go back. They may not even take her call the next 3 times because they're busy. It's up to her to stay in the ball game. Get one deal. Show them she can do a good job, right? And this is where a lot of people are going to fall off the wagon. Okay, so that's a great job. Good job. Very, very proud of you. All right, ladies on the back row, give me some progress. Quantitative or qualitative? Yeah, that's y'all. Back, the Baptist girls. Come on.
I was just thinking, I think my biggest progress for the past week or so is I had a deal going off track in a major way, like 10 hours before closing, and I was very professional but assertive with the lender. And I think she sort of saw that, and she was doing all that she could. And I was also the same way with the other agent. And so after like 2 days of hustling crazy, I said, well, this is not working. We need a new lender today. It's not if I have a commitment letter, to keep on blah, 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 blah. So anyway, everybody hustled, and it worked out. And so now we're closing Monday with a new lender. Yes, I know. But, so I was proud because, I didn't let it ride. I took immediate action real quick to see what we could do to change it back around.
Great. Good for you.
That was one thing I think that's it.
Let me say something there. When something's not going the way it should, address it immediately.
Yes.
Do not wait. I don't care what it is. If you have a customer complaint, if you have a customer issue, we had one come up yesterday, and, Takesha was asking me, what do you think we should do? And I said, give me the phone. That's what we do. You get on the phone immediately, and you tackle it. Don't talk about it. Don't text message. Don't email. You address it. If I can ever get you in this mindset, address the issue. A lot of times they'll go, thank you for calling me and addressing this, right? It's just feedback. It's not a big deal, okay? So a lot of people put this off, and so what you did, everybody needs to take a lesson from that. You have something, And it don't matter if you think it's going good. If they don't think it's going good, that's what matters. Okay? You may be going, well, I don't know why they don't love me. I'm an awesome real estate agent. If they don't like something that's going on, you need to say, look, I will pick up the phone right now and call you. Tell me how we can do this better for you. What's not working? A lot of people are scared to do that. If you guys watch my show I did yesterday called Call Reluctance, there's only one reason you got call reluctance, or two reasons. What are they? Call reluctance is I am reluctant to pick up that phone and make an outbound phone call.
Because I don't know what to say.
Because I don't have anything to say, right? Or I'm afraid of rejection. And we've already taken care of those two things because there's no such thing, right? So what happens as a result of call reluctance is creative avoidance. And creative avoidance is where you find creative ways to get out of doing what you really know you need to do. Okay? So there's all kinds of things you can find to do except what you're supposed to do. That's creative avoidance.
Is this creative avoidance, or is it knowing I'm calling without a reason? Like previous clients that I would love to talk to, and I think it would be, they'd be fine if I called them and said hello, but they're going to say, oh, this house across the street just sold. Do you know what it sold for? Well, I better sure have that information in front of me to be able to tell them. But I don't call because I'm in the car, and I didn't do it before I got on the road.
So here's a trick that I use. I always, number one, we're going to talk about this on the accountability session today that I'm going to do from here. And you guys will be done. You can watch it here or whatever. But I'm going to talk about, I create reasons to call people. Okay? And I'm constantly doing this. I create a reason for my sales team to make an outbound call. Could be an offer. Could be something new. Could be a customer appreciation event. Could be I write a blog. Could be I create some reason to make an outbound call. On that call, I want to push people to something. Okay? Now, that something could be, I'm going to send them a blog I wrote. I'm going to send them a video. Hey, Cindy, watch this video I'm about to send you. I know you're struggling with this. Look at this house that I just came across. Watch this video, which gives me another reason to follow back up. Hey, did you watch the video? Did you look at that? I get on the phone and I keep moving people. I never let them stagnate. So I'm constantly moving you to something. And this is a big thing. It's not a zero-sum game, phone conversation. If they ask me a question I don't know that answer. But let me find it and I'll get back to you. Okay? But by the end of the call, it's like I'm pushing you something else. So you need a reason to call people other than just say, hi, I'm checking in on you. Right? You push them to something. Hey, did you see this? Are you interested in this? You know, always have something to push people to. That's very critical.
I have a question.
Yep.
So in our industry, so you are, I don't know how to say this, you may have something to offer. So if I'm calling a past client who is not moving, is not right, like I'm not calling to say I have something to give you, right?
I have this listing company.
Yes, I don't have an offer for you, and I can't have a customer appreciation event every month or whatever, right? Okay, so can I call and offer? So on my website and my Facebook page, I do a lot of Nashville stuff. Like I post about like the Oktoberfest in Germantown, blah, 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 whatever, and this new restaurant and all that kind of stuff. Can I call and say, hey, I was just thinking about you because I saw this restaurant's opening and it's in your neighborhood? And
Yes.
Is that an okay? Is that
Absolutely.
okay?
No.
Have you tried it?
I haven't called it. No, I haven't called anybody, but I thought I don't want to call and say something that's stupid. Like, why is she calling me about a restaurant? So what?
Yeah. Well, the way you frame that, so I want you to think of the word framing. Framing is, I'm putting this into context.
Yeah.
And the context is, I like to keep up to date with all of the neighborhoods, all the subdivisions of people that I've sold houses to.
Yeah.
You know, there's something new happening, right? I mean, sometimes people don't know. Hey, I didn't know a new restaurant was coming. I didn't know there was Oktoberfest I was supposed to go to. I didn't know it was wine and whatever this weekend.
Right.
So all I'm looking for is a reason to stay involved and engage. If you see, like I've got one agent that does this with about 25 people, okay? So what he's doing is he's looking for a reason, something positive about them, something coming up. Hey, did you watch this? Hey, did you come? And he's just looking for a reason to just keep that circulation going.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm doing too. And if I'm a real estate agent, I'm just looking for something. You're right. You can't have a customer appreciation event every month.
Right.
But you can look for these things, like especially like if I'm an investor in properties, you may say, hey, I don't know, if you know it or not, but here's some new things that are happening in the pipeline. I always like to keep my clients up to date on the current real estate trends. You know, one of the big trends I'm always curious about is what's going on with this Airbnb thing you and I talked about in Nashville. Because, you know, I'm always looking at buying properties. My wife runs those properties. Well, if that's in limbo, you know, you calling me and saying, hey, I just want to keep you updated on what's going on with this Airbnb situation. You know, if you ever look to buy properties, you know, I'd love to help you. You know what I mean? Or what are you looking for? Just do some discovery. What are you looking for, Coach? Well, I'm really looking for something in the $300,000 to $400,000 range. Something I can make some money with. Can I do it? Can I not do it? Great. If, with your permission, I'd love to just touch base with you on a monthly basis to kind of keep you updated on what's going on here. What if nobody else is doing that for me? Right? So I went out and looked at properties one day with the real estate agent. She was unbelievable. She did a great job that day. And I coached her the other day, and I said, the biggest problem is she hadn't followed up with me. With a phone call, with a touch, with a, hey, let me update you on what's going on in Nashville. You've touched me automated, right? I'm in a drip to get these properties. But, you know, I'm looking for a reason. So what reason when it comes to these Airbnbs, you stay in tune with what's going on. Here's what's coming down the pipeline, Coach. Here's what the Metro Council did. Here's what's happening, okay? Just wanted to give you an update. So the next time I think about it, I'm thinking about you. But if you don't stay involved in my life, I quickly forget about you and move on to somebody else. It's like a vacuum. Somebody else just sucks into that area, okay? So any reason to call your people is a good thing, right? Yes?
Do you ever have clients that, I have a couple that are just super hard to get on the phone, and
Yeah.
email is the best form of communication. Do you ever have clients like that that you cannot get on the phone? It's really hard to get them on the phone, that you're having to email instead to follow up with or check in with?
Yep, I do. And I still bang on them. With the text, with the video, I still find a way to just knock away at them. Now, I create a lot of collateral to do this. So what it means, I write a blog, and I do shows, and I create videos, and I'll go over and pull this and text it to them. Hey, watch this. Hey, did you read my blog on this? I'm just trying to stay involved in their life, okay? And so without all this collateral, you got nothing. You see what I'm saying? Like if I talk to you and I'm a real estate agent and I said, Cindy and I are talking, Cindy, I wrote a blog on the 6 ways to get the absolute most money on the sale of your house. I'm going to send that to you. What's your email address so I can send it to you? Now, when I send that to her, see, I create the collateral. Now I send it to her, or I do a little video. Hey, Cindy, you and I had a great talk. I did a video on how I get more money per square foot than any other agent in Nashville. May be interesting to you. I'm going to text it to you. Then I can go back, hey, did you watch the video? Right? Absolutely. Great video. Perfect. I just keep you moving. I keep pushing you to something, right? Without any of this collateral, so there's nothing stopping you as a real estate agent of doing all that stuff. Like you said, creating stuff for your website, writing a blog every week, doing a video. You just got to keep some kind of collateral in their face. You never know when they're going to one day go, I'm ready. Let's go. And you've been right there with me the whole time, so I'm going to reward you.
One more thing.
Yeah.
One thing that I find a little difficult for current clients, past clients, when husband and wife, trying to get, when you're calling, working on a deal with them, calling them to get them both on the phone is sometimes hard.
Yep.
How do you, because my sister just experienced this in Huntsville where she lives, and she's like, she was talking to me at the beginning, but now she only calls my husband, and I feel like she doesn't trust my opinion or something, and that's the last thing I want to give them to somebody. So that, I may be the only one that's trying to.
I call husbands and wives all the time. I mean, I'm the same boat.
Yeah.
Right. So you do that instead of like,
Or
say, is there a
email
certain
both.
time
You
that's
have
best
to.
to get on the
Unless one of them says, you know, hey,
Don't talk to him, he's
don't,
handling it.
yeah, or don't talk to my husband, he can't take calls during the day, he's in court, or he's whatever, and he and I, whatever you need, you just run it through me, and he and I'll talk tonight, we'll call it whatever. I mean, unless they give you some
Yeah, you just have to
specifics.
ask them.
Well, but
Text, actually, I can tell real quick.
Everything's
who's
kinda in
dealing
charge.
with it,
But you're
who's
just-
got- who's calling the shots.
Yeah.
when you're not even working a deal and you're just trying to keep that relationship going, or
Right.
you're calling, just, I mean, are you calling both of them that day? I mean, that's what,
As a single agent, I walk that line very delicately. If it's a married couple, I call the wife. If I'm gonna call somebody individually, I call the wife because I'm a single woman.
right.
I don't want any impropriety
Perceived
perceived.
or unperceived, right?
But if I text or email, I email them both.
Yeah.
Now, just remember this concept of jabbing. See, this is a big problem in the real estate world is we think every time we got to throw the right hook. You can indirectly jab. So I don't try to sell you every time. I send you something of value. I send you something of value. I send you something of value. Then I throw the right hook. Hey, have you seen enough to make a decision? Right? I may create a trigger event. You told me what you wanted. I found it, but it won't last long if you don't take action on it. Could it get you two together to look at it? You see what I'm saying? Don't feel like you got to sell somebody something every single time you talk to them. So I do a lot of indirect selling, which means I'm creating value, sending it to them. It's just a little bit jabs. It's just a little bit jabs. Right there, right there in your face, right? And I keep going until I say, hey, have you seen enough to make a decision? What's stopping you from taking action? This is what you told me, okay? So all good stuff, all progress, right? These are all progress, okay? All right, now we're going to practice something. We're going to practice an outbound script, outbound calls, okay? So no peeking. Let me ask you a question, because this is one way you test for retention, right? Testing means that do you know it? Walk me through the tenets of a good outbound script. If I said, coach me, I'm a little nervous. I've got to make outbound calls on leads that are coming in, right? So maybe I'm not cold calling, maybe I am. But for the most part, these are people that have raised their hand in some capacity and said, I'm interested in something. Walk me through the tenets of a good outbound script. And why would I need that? I need it for what? Confidence, overcome call reluctance, right? And more than anything, it just gives me a rhythm. Gives me a rhythm, okay? For many years, I didn't really believe in scripts. I'll be the first one to tell you, until I started coaching and adding salespeople to my team. And especially inexperienced salespeople, I would listen to their phone call, and then I would walk in there and say, don't ever say that again. What you just said, don't ever say that again, okay? They didn't know, right? So, hey, let's create a script. Let's work through this. And it's not about, are you a professional, are you a rookie? Listen, top people in the world use scripts. Everybody with me? So walk me through the tenets of a good outbound call if you were coaching me. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, then we'll let you practice. What's the first thing? So pretend you're calling me and you're going to say what? Hi, this is? Okay, Renee, and you don't have to say your last name. First name is fine. And you're from?
Nashville.
Okay, well, yeah, okay. Not literally. Now, and you were born at what hospital? And I was born at this hospital. Yeah.
That's why you need a script.
Yes. Yes.
Honestly, I always find myself, because I have a tendency, I think, to overtalk.
Yeah.
And so I try to, even when I'm, even when I'm, going over an offer I've just gotten and I'm going to call my clients, I try to look through everything and figure out any questions they might have, because sometimes I find myself just,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
vomiting
Sure.
out.
All right, so let's go back to the beginning. Hi,
Renee,
and I'm from,
Wilson Group.
okay, and next,
Now a good time to talk?
good, okay. Now here, we've been polling this one, by the way, over the last month to see what they say. 90% of the time, they've said yes. Okay, so a very high percentage. Or they say, I've got 2 minutes, or 3 minutes, or 10 minutes. Yes, this is a good. Only 10% of the time have they said, no, this is not a good time. So asking for permission is a good thing. So name, where you're calling from, ask for permission. Is this a good time to talk? So if I say, yes, it is a good time, now what?
Great. I was calling to talk to you about.
Great. Okay, and that's the purpose. Purpose of this call is this. I noticed that you emailed in about this property, that kind of thing, right? Then we pivot from the purpose of the call to what?
Asking them questions like,
Good.
what do you think about this?
Great.
Would this sound like, would this be a good fit for you? Or whatever it is, pivot into
Great.
what you just told them about.
All right.
See their interest.
And we call that discovery. So we're asking key questions. So Christy, what questions do you typically ask? If I emailed in about a property, what would be 1 or 2 of the questions that you rely on a lot?
Well, the first one, are you working with another realtor right now?
Okay. Are you working with another agent? And what if they say yes? What do you say?
Who are you working with?
Okay.
And, that's a great agent.
Okay.
I'll be happy to give you the information that you're requesting, and then are you okay with me calling your agent?
Okay, all right, good, all right. So let's say, no, I'm not working with another agent. Where do you go next?
Yay.
Yeah, good.
Have you,
How quickly can I get to?
yeah.
It's good.
You know, I guess it depends on how the conversation's going. Sometimes we'll, are you actively looking? Are you just starting your looking?
Okay.
Do you, yeah, I haven't gotten there yet, but are you, looking in a specific neighborhood?
Okay.
You know, and then the pre-approved, because then from there you can say, have you determined your budget?
Okay, good.
And,
That's right.
talk to the lender.
That's right. Okay, so now I'm doing some discovery, right? Okay, so I'm asking some key questions. Different people are going to ask different questions. Sometimes I ask about like what prompted you to do this. So I'm trying to figure out what they don't like about their current situation, right? I don't like this, I don't like that. You know, sometimes I want to know like what prompted this, you to show interest in this. Well, we don't like the subdivision. Kids can't play in the street like they used to could, right? Don't like the school we go to. Okay, great. Okay, now after that we move into what? So we've done our discovery, call's going good. Now what do we pivot to?
Here's how I can help you.
Good. So now, and we call that framing. Framing. What you also could do during the framing period is I like moving, I want you to get into your mindset you're moving from a salesperson to a coach. This is where you're establishing yourself as a person of interest. I know what I'm doing, right? Thank goodness, you know, not thank goodness you called me, but it's your lucky day because you got the real deal. But you can go into a little bit of framing about, like, you know, I helped someone just like you last week. I routinely help this many people. You're kind of establishing yourself as a person of interest. Okay, great, right? Here's some things I start to recommend. I start moving into kind of a coaching and consulting role, you know, or sometimes I say, here's what your challenge is, and I'm kind of just framing up that I'm an expert. Okay, it's very important because the customer never knows what they want until you tell them. See, in the old days, we used to walk around. Remember when we walked around with those boom boxes? Mm-hmm. And then somebody created the Walkman, but the Walkman had the big, and then Steve Jobs came along and said, no, what you really need is an iPod and 1,000 songs in your pocket. We didn't know that until he told us, right? And then he said, well, what you really want is this phone to be your computer, so you don't need computer. His whole philosophy was the customer don't know what they want until you tell them. So they may say, well, I'm really like this property, I'm really looking at this property, and you may say, I understand why you'd like that property, but there's 2 other places I think that you may really like even better than that one. You just don't know it. You follow me here? And I'm like, oh, this girl's good. I mean, she knows what she's doing. She's kind of coaching me and framing up. So framing is establishing yourself as a person of interest and authority. Then I move into what?
Solutions.
Yeah. Some people would say the pitch, right? We're going down the road. Everything's going good. I've established myself as a person of authority. And this is maybe where we share a little bit of our explanation of service, right? The Wilson Group, we believe this. I would always say I believe every person deserves the right to have a professional represent them when they buy, sell, build, or finance real estate. And because of that belief, there's really 2 or 3 things I do for my clients. Bam, bam, bam. Okay? I do it different. Here's 2 or 3 ways I do it a little bit different than everybody else. Here's how many people I help in a year to kind of establish that social proof. And then if I get to the end, there's a close. Now, the close is nothing more than pushing them to something. What could I push them to at this point?
A meeting face to.
There you go. Hey, let's really make this thing work. Sounds like you're really interested. It seems like it's a great phrase to use. It seems like you're really interested. Let's go ahead and get a meeting scheduled with whomever and get this ball rolling, right? Now, at any point during that process, they could push back on something. You know, it's really 6 months down the road when you know, do we really have to start this early if we're not looking 6 months down the road? This is when you can pivot and tell stories. I believe that life is about momentum, okay? And real estate is about momentum headed in one direction or another. And the reason real estate can become so stressful is because people wait to the very last minute to do a lot of things. So if we go ahead, and I like to get my clients started looking at the process, so with your permission, I like to go ahead and start showing you some things and keep this ball moving. See how I pivoted to a story? And I use the I believe concept. Do we really have to get started today, Coach Burt? I mean, we're not going to look at buying a house in 6 months. I understand why you'd feel that way. But I believe real estate becomes stressful for one reason, because people wait to the very last minute to do everything. And we want to alleviate that stress in your life. So with your permission, let's just kind of get this ball rolling just a little bit, right? It's just a little soft objection. Now, at the end, you always want to push them to something. Meeting, let me send you this, take a look at this, right? Once you look at it, I'll follow back up, but it never stagnates right there, right? Now, in today's market, we know how fast things are moving, so sometimes I do a little economics lesson. I say, you know, if you understand economics, supply and demand, right? There's more supply right now than there's demand. Now I'm coaching you, right? I understand why you'd want to wait, but it seems like you really want to do something, and we really don't have that time to wait in today's market. So why don't we go ahead and schedule a time? Would you like to get out and see it tonight, this weekend, whatever? And you're pushing people to something. But you got to challenge their assumption. Okay, well, I just called in because I was interested. I was just browsing, okay? And so what do you say when they say that? I mean, here's what I say. You know, if I'm browsing for something, I'm interested in it. Or I wouldn't take my time and energy to browse. You see how I push back a little bit? So when people throw me these little softballs, I just come right back at them. Okay, well, when you see that property in person, you're going to want to do more and browse with it, okay? Because it is unbelievable. The pictures do it no justice whatsoever. So what I do is I just keep this ball moving, okay? So now we're going to practice going through this script, okay? And the more practice you get, the better you're going to become at this, okay? Then we'll practice the script. Then we'll get into the top 3 objections you face, okay? Then we'll end up with the explanation of service as if you're coming out to a person's house and we're meeting. And for right now, let's pretend you don't have a listing presentation. Let's just pretend that's not there. And we'll pretend that you're just sitting right in front of me and you and I are just talking, and I'm trying to make a decision if we should do business together or not. And you're going through, I believe this, because of that belief, here's what we do. Everybody follow me? So first step is we're going to practice the outbound script. So look at the person beside you and go through an outbound call. Play along nicely. Play along nicely or don't play along nicely, because sometimes they don't play along, do they? Okay? Test them a little bit, okay? Ready? Take off. All right. This is how you become good. You practice. You practice, you practice, you practice, you practice. I was going back the other night. If you haven't seen the documentary on the Eagles, it's an unbelievable documentary. It's about 3 hours long, but it is, it literally had video of them back when they first started, all the way up to now. Okay, and it's just a fascinating documentary. And talks about, well, I played in this band, and I played in this band, and then I worked with this person, and you just see how through years and years and years of practice, how good they are. Don Henley's already really good. Okay, but the way these artists become so good. Okay, now I don't know if I told you guys this, but I had lunch with Rich Redmond a few weeks ago, and Redmond is Jason Aldean's drummer, and he's been Aldean's drummer for 18 years. And so I always want to know, like, okay, if a guy's making 30, 40, 50 million a year, surely there's something you've learned from that guy, right? I'm like, so what have you learned from him? Here's what he says. He said, Aldean does everything he's not supposed to do. He drinks too much. He does not eat healthy like he's supposed to. And he drinks a lot of coffee. And you're not supposed to do that if you're an entertainer. He said, but let me tell you one thing he does do. He shows up every single day, whether he feels like it or not. And when you show up for 18 straight years, even when you don't feel like it, how good do you become? That was his point. And he said, when you work with someone who shows up every day, it don't matter whether you feel like it or not. You show up too. Now, the reason I tell you that is because there's a part of real estate that for you to become world class at this, you need to be on the phones every day for 2 hours. That's how you become world class. You follow me? You do it so much, whether you feel like it or don't feel like it. It don't matter how you feel, right? That's the difference between an amateur and a professional. An amateur real estate agent, when they don't feel good, don't show up. They don't make outbound calls, because what do they say? I don't feel like doing that today. A professional real estate agent says, look, I'm going to get in here every day, whether I feel like it or not, and make outbound calls to the market and exchange energy with the market, right? For 2 hours a day, minimum of every day, right? Don't matter how I feel. And I'm going to become so good at this that when I get a person on the phone, I'm going to drastically increase this close ratio and the velocity of this sale because I'm going to be the best in the world at this, okay? And very few agents will do this. Wouldn't you agree? Very few agents will come in and be that consistent. There's too much autonomy. There's too much, it's beautiful outside, so I'm going to go to Old Hickory Lake. There's too much, I'd like to have a margarita at lunch. There's too much. There's a time and place for all of that I just said. You with me? But if you're going to become great at something, you got to buckle down and be good. And this is how you become great, as you practice. Now, I want to add one element, one curveball to this. Now, I want you to give that person that's making that outbound script call to you one of 3 of the biggest objections that you hear on a consistent basis. Okay? Just give them one of the biggest 3. And I think I know what the biggest 3 are, but I want you to give it to them and see how they handle it. Now, let's draw a distinction here. There is a difference between a relationship builder and a challenger. Okay? This comes from a book called The Challenger Sale. And The Challenger Sale was written by social scientists, which means it's a very hard book to read. Okay? Social scientists go out into the world and they study things and they research. And they'll poll 6,000 salespeople, and then they'll deduct data, and they'll code that data, and they'll come back and they'll say, there are 5 types of salespeople we found out of these 6,000. And the ones who sell the most have this personality, and they do this thing, right? So it makes it very hard to read. So if you're not a big reader, here's what I would suggest you do. I dig in. I watch people do interviews a lot. So I may read the book, go to YouTube, pull up the authors, type in The Challenger Sale, and if they've spoken 15 times on YouTube, I'll sit there and watch those 15 videos. Then I'll go and study all the interviews they have. And then pretty soon, without even reading the book, I can tell you exactly what that book's about, right? Well, I go through The Challenger Sale, and here's what I figure out. In the South, we're too much of relationship builders and not enough challengers. Okay? A relationship builder wants to be liked. So every move they make is from a position of, I'm not going to say anything that could rock the boat, because if I rock the boat, I could lose the deal. A challenger has made up their mind. I'm an expert. And so when you don't know what you're talking about, or you bring a fluff objection, I'm going to just push back a little bit on your assumption. You follow me? So I'm going to challenge your thought process. Now, that's going to create a little bit of healthy tension between you and I. Okay? But that's a good thing. Because what you want me to do, thinking in the back of my mind is, man, she's really good. And she don't take my kind of fluff answers like most people do. And she don't roll over and just run around like a little puppy. I mean, like, she's an expert. Okay? Now, let me give you an example. So I made up my mind 2.5 months ago that I was going to buy a big property that was like a lodge. Y'all remember me talking about this? The lodge was listed at $1.5 million. I was going to turn it into a wedding venue because I thought there was money to be made there, and my wife is really good at those things, okay? So she likes to generate revenue for our family. So I'm like, you know what? We'll buy this lodge. So I make an offer at $1.1 million, knowing they were going to counter. They came back at $1.35 million, okay? I'm talking to my real estate agent, and here was his counsel to me. I get why you want to do this. I understand, okay? I'm not going to tell you not to do it. But have you thought through these things? Number one, you're going to need sprinkler systems. That's probably going to cost $200,000. Number two, the city may come back and tell you that you got to add another road into this place. Have you thought about that? Number three, you got to go in front of the neighbors and explain how you're converting this big lodge from a house to a wedding center. Are you ready? Do you have time to do that? Do you want to do it? And he said, and I've calculated the numbers, and at the end of the day, you may make, after all the expenses and this big note, you may make $50,000 or $60,000 a year. Now, is that worth all of this trouble? Do you want to go through that? And at the end of the day, we decided, no, it was not worth all of that. Okay? So what he did with me was challenge me. I know you think you want to do this, but let me just coach you on everything you don't know here. Okay? Another real estate agent who just wanted that commission would have said what? Hey, let's go buy that puppy. Offer 1.35. Right? Which one do you think in the long run I value more? So I value when I tell you something, you come back and go, okay, let's talk through this a little bit, right? I don't value See, this to me is the difference between an amateur and a professional. An amateur will say, let's go get it for you. Whatever you want, I'll get it. A professional sees the long play here. And we may buy a lot of real estate in my lifetime. And if I trust you, you're kind of like my coach, which means when I come up with some crazy idea, all of a sudden today that I want to buy a lodge, you say to me, where did this come from? Does this fit in your business model? Why do you want to do it? Why would you spend that much money? Would it not be better to put $1.1 million somewhere else? You understand what I'm saying here? So your job is to start thinking like a coach versus a salesperson, and definitely like a realtor, okay? So a challenger means you push back a little bit. So what I want you to do in this scenario is give the person an objection. Could be time, could be I'm not ready, could be my wife's not on board. Just give them that objection. I want to see how they handle it. Because if you're a professional salesperson, have you clothed yourself for these, yes or no? You know they're coming, right or wrong? So when they come, you just punch right back. They punch, you punch back. You don't just say, okay, no big deal, call me back. I guarantee you get the same objections over and over, right? Here's an objection I get on Monster Producer, $3.99 a month. Man, $3.99 a month. Seems like a lot of money. Here's what I say. Do you think we can pick up 2 more deals through a year's worth of coaching? And if we can't, you need to get out of real estate. Right? I mean, we laugh about it a little bit, but I'm kind of serious. I said, tell you what I'll do. If you don't pick up 2 more deals, I'll give all your money back. Now, what's the objection? See, here's another thing I say. We're focused on the wrong number. We don't need to talk about you making $399,000 if we can't talk about $399. You see how I redirect that? I push back. I push back because I'm saying, look, this is crazy. I can't believe we're having this discussion, right? Do you want to be a big-time player or not? And this is what big-time players do. They get better. They get coached. So in the grand scheme of things, you're focused on the wrong number here, okay? That's a challenge. Now, you may say, well, that's kind of aggressive. Well, are you an expert or not? And if you're an expert, should you not? Remember, I don't know what I'm supposed to do until what? Until you tell me. So you may say, hey, time is not right. Then I would like to hear what your response is when time is not right. Price is too high. What do you say then? Okay? When you hear these little objections, my husband's not on board, what do you say? What do you say? Are you ready for that? Because if you're going to be good, you got to be ready for it, guys. Okay? So go through the script and then give them a little bit of objection, right? Throw some crazy ones at them too. See if they're ready for it. Biggest objections. Christy, what do you think the biggest ones are?
The money.
Okay, all right. So money as in, how do they say it? I don't have enough money, payment's too high, house is too expensive. How do they say it?
It's like, well, what I want is this, but their budget only,
Okay.
champagne taste with $100.
Yep. Okay, all right. So let's say I got a champagne taste. I want to live in an $800,000 house, but I can only afford $400,000. What do you say?
Marry up, sister.
Let me give you some good coaching, okay? Yeah, hey.
We can expand your search.
Yeah. You can have that $800,000 house if we first find the husband that you've been looking for, okay? And we do have a program for that. Right? That's another business. That's a Yeah. That's another business to open up. I mean, Okay? That's good. We're making progress here. We're making progress. Okay, so what do you say on that one?
Yeah, I said, well, let's get out and start looking at some things. You may need to modify expectation, but you can get a fabulous house in that $400,000 price range.
Right.
And let's just start taking a look. You've got to start somewhere. At
Right.
the end of the day, if we can't find what you like, we'll figure out our next plan. But let's
right.
start now.
Okay, all right, so
Sometimes I feel like people just need, I had a client that I worked with for a long time. Everyone's heard about them because it took a while to find the house. They had one school district they wanted to be in.
Uh-huh.
And at the beginning of the search, it was like, this is our must-have list. We have to have this kind of house. We have to have this yard. We want this.
Yep.
And I knew that did not exist.
Yes.
But they weren't hearing it right
Yep.
out of the gate.
Yep.
So it took seeing, okay, and there wasn't a lot in this area, so it's not like I could show them a bunch at once. So it took a couple months because only one house every so often was coming to
Was
look
that
at.
one of those 60 houses you've seen?
Yeah. So
60 to 100.
yeah. So it took a while, and at one point, it, like you said about being professional, again, I feel like I walk that line of, I want you to like me.
Yeah.
I want you to love me.
Yep.
But I want you to know that I'm doing what's best for you. And
Right.
I want you to, but it did get to that point, at one point, where I had to say, I need you to hear what I'm saying.
Right.
I want to give you everything you want. I want to get it for you in the price you want. I
Yep.
want you to be in the school zone you want. But all of those things don't exist. And
Right.
we're now running out of time. Your rental's going to come up. I don't want you to renew your lease. I don't want you to stay in this temporary limbo situation. What are you willing to give on?
Yeah.
And I know it's not the school district, so what is it about the house we can, and so they got there, but it took a while. Like that first objection, he wasn't hearing me. It didn't matter what I said.
Right.
He was convinced it existed.
Yep.
And so it just took, like you said, a little soft.
That's right.
soft,
Little jab.
Yeah.
Well, when people say I want 100% of this, I think that's a myth, number one. And I think you need to attack that myth. Like I think it's a myth that we always get 100% of what we want. If I could get you 80% of what you want, at the price point you want, in the subdivision you want, get the school you want, would you take action on it? See, I think you got to reframe the myth of 100%.
But I'm a little bit afraid to be too hardcore about that right off the gate.
I know.
Because they'll say, I don't know you, and Jack said,
Yeah.
you absolutely can, so peace out, we're gonna go work
Yeah.
with Jack, and in 6
Yeah.
months, we're gonna buy what you told us to buy anyway.
Right.
We're gonna do it because we've.
I get it. And that's one reason people supplicate a little bit, because they're afraid to lose. I get it. Everybody's afraid of losing the deal. And I'd say, right, I know. But I could say, well, Jack may tell you what you want to hear, and I'm going to tell you the truth.
Yeah. And I've said that before.
Yeah.
And I'm off, sometimes we all.
Yeah.
We're the second or the third agent.
Yep.
Because we don't lie, because we are truthful
And I've had them come back to me that did walk
yeah.
because I was truthful with them.
Yeah.
And
So so I always say, do you want me to tell you what you want to hear, or do you want me to tell you the truth? Now, you hired me for a reason. That reason is to get you to the next level, and sometimes I got to give you feedback for us to do that, okay? So, all right, so go ahead.
there's a dance process sometimes in real estate. They're not hiring me till I've taken them out 3 times sometimes.
Yeah.
1 time minimum.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't expect them to hire me.
Yep.
Until I showed them what I can do.
Yeah, and that's the jab. That's the jab. So just remember, the jab is I'm giving you something, but I'm not asking for you for everything, because you hadn't seen enough to make a decision. Then that may not do it. Some people have not seen enough to make a decision. So I jab again. Okay? Now, so then, hey, have you seen enough to make a decision? What's prohibiting you? And the more confident you become and the better you get, you'll eventually get to the point and say, have you seen enough to make a decision here? I mean, I'm ready to go. Are you ready to go? Like, yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. They only show. Let's pretend we're on House Hunters, okay? All right, so that's an objection. All right, give me another objection. What about the timing objection? Call me back 6 months from now. Timing's not right. How do you address that one? Because you got to be preloaded on this one. All right, what do you say?
I think I'm usually, we've kind of talked, I'm usually trying to set some kind of appointment, even if they're looking, particularly if they're a buyer or a seller, to set some kind of face-to-face appointment. If they're thinking about moving, well, let me go ahead and come to your house, and I kind of explain to them what I might do, how much time it might take, and just, let's just kind of talk about it. That way, if you do decide 6
right.
months from now to move, we'll have it set, we'll have a plan together, do like that. Kind of same with the buyer.
Yep.
I know you're just looking, but why don't we just go out and look at a few things?
Right.
You can get kind of a picture in your head of what you're looking for, and even if it takes a little while, that's okay. It's kind of a long process anyway, and let's just.
Right.
So that's what I'm kind of trying to
Okay.
do.
Good. Yeah,
I do feel like in the South.
that's
too,
good.
I think some people, not all people, some people worry that they're wasting our time.
Oh, I get that.
And
all the time.
I don't want
yeah.
to,
I don't wanna
I don't
waste
want
your
to
time. I'm
bother
like, oh, that's
you
what I do.
when I don't plan to do anything until Christmas and it's July. And I'm like, this is what I do. I work for you. I'm here for you. I'm kind of like Sarah, like, let's go ahead and start that process. There may be things that I recommend that you need to do to your home to get it ready that you may not even realize,
Well, and I think sometimes there's a good place to tell a story. That's why I say I believe life's about momentum. And have you ever been on the wrong side of momentum? And everybody has at some point, they go, oh yeah. Well, if we can get this ball rolling, we're creating momentum for you. So when you are ready, we can take action on this. And then I go into, like I said, economics. I didn't understand economics for a long time, but when demand exceed supply. You understand what I'm saying here? And I do a little coaching. And I'm like, I can understand why you want to do this, but the reason you came to me is because I understand how long this process may take to get you in the house. So with your permission, I'd like to just go ahead and just get you moving. That's building us some momentum, okay? So that's a good one, okay? Were you going to say something?
Yeah, on the buyer side, didn't lose my thought. Oh, I know what I was going to say. A lot of times, if they're saying, I don't have, we don't need to do this, my lease is not for 6 months or whatever. Well, so that I can better send you the type of properties you're interested in, let's go out and look at some houses so I can see how you react in the house, what you really like, what you don't like, other than just looking at some pictures. Let's just go have a scavenger hunt and just go have fun.
Okay, good.
And a lot of times
Good. All right. Anything else on timing? I always say this. I say timing is never going to be right in life to make a decision. I always use a personal story. If I was waiting on timing, I'd still be a high school basketball coach, because I was always waiting on the right time to retire from that, and it was never going to be the right time. I believe we create our time. Don't you agree? And they say, oh, yeah, I do believe that. Okay, then. Well, then what's stopping us, right? Time is never going to be right to make a decision. We got to create that timing. Life's always going to be moving fast. So what I'm trying to get you in this mindset of this challenger just a little bit. You're the expert. When they give you a fluff answer, just keep moving. Keep them moving. Don't just roll over and say, okay, I'm out. I'll call you back 6 months from now. Just keep that ball moving, okay? And if you can push them to something, that would be good. One more objection, then we'll take a break. What's another one that you hear? We've had price, we've had timing.
I struggle with this one, and we were practicing it, but when somebody says they're thinking about doing a for sale by owner,
Yeah.
and you're trying to talk them through what you're going to do for them as an agent, and that you don't always save money, and I just can never get it out quite as smooth as I would like to, and I would be curious where.
Okay.
Curious what
All right, somebody tackle that one.
What's the statistic? You get 20% more. I mean, you may have to be paying a real estate
I mean, I've always
commission,
heard
but-
that 86% of people who list their home with an agent get more money for their house than if they did it for sale by owner.
Okay.
So what if you say, why do you think you're going to save more money with your sale by owner? Or why do you think you're going to save more money doing it yourself?
There you go.
Because I'm
Because I don't have to pay commission.
Okay, I understand that. Have you sold your home before? Have you done it for sale by owner before?
No,
There you
it's
go.
really easy on TV.
Have you ever had your home on the market before with an agent?
Yes.
And what was that experience like?
Well, it was really good, but I think I could do what they did.
What if they did it so differently, you knew that you didn't have to go through the hassle, the time, dealing with strangers coming through your home, dealing with an inspector coming up and tearing your home apart, and it was done so well, you were so grateful at the end of the day?
And you're done. Okay, so yeah, that's my point though. Well, all she did was challenge you.
Yeah.
Have you ever done this?
Yeah.
Have you ever? All she did is put it right back in your lap. Well, and that's really what a challenger does. Okay, is you got an assumption. It's going to be easy because I've seen other people do it. Okay, that's what I believe. That's an assumption I've got in my mind. So your job is make me stop and go, man, maybe she is right. So I get off that phone call with you, and I'm talking to my wife, and I'm going, hey, I talked to this agent at the Wilson Group, and she really made me rethink this for sale by owner deal. See what I'm saying? So a challenger makes you do one thing, stop and think. It's like, man, that was good. Maybe they're right. Okay? So the reason you need to know this is one of the things you're going to be working on between now and next time is your 7-touch follow-up. The purpose of the follow-up, in my opinion, is to make a person stop and think. Like, if I don't take action on this house today, we're not going to have it. If I don't go look at it tonight, we could lose it. So the follow-up is not, hey, I'm touching base. Hey, I'm checking in. Hey, I thought about you today. When I follow up with the purpose, I'm trying to make them stop what they're doing and go, you know what? He's right. I do need a coach in my life. I do need to take action. Right? I may leave a voice message. How do you justify not reaching your potential any longer? See how strong that is? Now they're going to go, oh, that hurt. But then they may go, dang, he's right. What I want, and I'm okay with losing them. I've already made up my mind. There's 7 billion people on the planet. If I lose you, I didn't have you to begin with. You follow me? So now that I've taken that off the table, I've made up my mind. I'm an expert, which means I'm going to challenge you. Okay? I'm going to put, so my follow-up is going to challenge you too. Okay? So when you're building this 7-touch follow-up, the follow-up is indirect touches, direct touches. So jabs, jabs, hooks. You follow me? And so that's, until you understand this concept of challenging, you're always just going to be a little relationship builder and say, well, let's go look at every house you want to look at. Let me just do whatever you need me to do. At some point you say, this is why you came to me. Okay? This is a big shift for a lot of people in the South because they just want to be liked so badly. That's the way we were raised. Be sweet, right? Apple pie, sweet tea, and let's just everybody hold hands and be friendly. Here in today's world, look, I want to work with an expert here. Okay, so be good and challenge the process. The objection is just a soft little softball. Okay, you've clothed yourself for that. So when it comes in, come right back at them. Okay, and you can do it in a way that doesn't seem aggressive. You're not being aggressive or rude. You're just pushing back just a little bit on what they're telling you. Okay, all right, that's good. Let's take a break and then we'll come back and keep on moving. Forget the fact that you have a listing presentation. We're just going to talk. What I want to do is I want to sit across the table from you, my wife right here, me and you, and I want you to explain to me why you should be my real estate professional, because I'm going to buy a lot of real estate. I'm 41 years old. I believe that wealth building is included in my real estate portfolio, and I'm looking for a serious real estate partner to help navigate me for the rest of my life. What would you do there? No listing presentation. It's me and you across the table from each other. What do you do? What do you give me? Pretend we passed the small talk. Okay? So we're past, hey, your daughter's cute. You know, we got a nice house. Weather's beautiful. See, you're going to Seaside next week. Whatever. And we're down to the nitty gritty. I'm like, go. Now what do you do? What do you give me?
So you know what things are being sold for in the neighborhood, what your equity is in your home?
All right, so stop right there just for a second. So let's say that I'm not looking to sell my current house. Let's say I'm looking for a real estate partner to help me on all kinds of deals.
Because that's what you said, that's what I heard.
Yes.
Is that you want a real estate partner because you're gonna buy a lot of real estate and
That's
you're
right.
building a portfolio.
Somebody's convinced me that I need a lot of real estate in my portfolio if I want to be wealthy. So I'm looking at you as my partner to be my person. So this is the perfect time for something. What is that something? The explanation of services. Because people do business with other people. We're not in a transaction right here. We're interviewing each other to see if we're going to be a good fit. You may interview me and say, Coach Burt's cray-cray. I don't want to represent him. Right?
So we're strangers and not.
We're not strangers, but we've been casually acquainted with each other. I've heard a lot of good things about you. You're sitting at my kitchen table, okay? And I'm trying to make up my mind whether we're going to move forward or not. Okay? So this is the perfect time, once all the pleasantries are done, to hit me with the EOS, right? So what do we start with? Walk me through a good EOS.
I'll go if nobody else wants to go.
Yes.
Does anybody else want to go? I don't want to, okay.
Okay?
So, Coach Burt, first of all, I'm so excited to hear you say this. I believe real estate is the most important piece of your retirement portfolio. You can touch it, you can walk on it, you can feel it. The market goes up, the market goes down, but what's great about your investment portfolio is when the sales market goes down, usually the rents go up.
Okay.
So you're riding the wave on your rents, even though your equity may go down. So you never lose. So if you want to buy 1 a year, 10 a year, I can do it. That's what I do with my own portfolio. And
Right.
I'd love to help you in this.
Good. So she got personal proof of concept. She's made her case, right? Because you got to remember that person's hearing all kinds of noise. Give me your money, I can put it in the market, returns are strong. So you really got to make a case here. You know, I believe real estate is one of the single greatest place, and you got to have conviction like she does to put your money for a long-term wealth building and your retirement strategy. That's my personal belief. I believe it so strongly, that's what I do myself, right? Okay? So that's her EOS. That's where you give that, okay? And then I'm probably going to ask her some questions. Like, well, how do we get started? What do we do? I'm going to interview 3 other agents. How do you do it different than everybody else? Who are you doing it for? Can you give me some tangible examples You know, people are going to pepper you with all kinds of stuff. Can you give me some tangible examples of how you're doing this? You know, where do we get started? How much money do I need up front? Blah, 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 right? But the first step is to get agreement. What are we agreeing on? We both agree that to build long-term wealth, real estate is the number one place. Right? Yeah, but what happens if the market crashes? What happens if this? I'm going to start throwing questions at you. And your ability to answer those questions, well, we believe this. We believe this. Because of that belief, we do this. The sale is really made, for the most part, when you and I have agreement with each other. So let me throw one at you. I believe there's a difference between being rich and being wealthy. Rich people know how to make money. Wealthy people really have figured out how to have money work for them. Okay? I've heard somebody say this one before. If you study the Forbes top 100 list, you know, 88 to 90 of those top 100 people all have real estate in their portfolio. That's a pretty high percentage of the top 100 list, right? Wouldn't you agree? So I say wouldn't you agree because I'm sitting there going, yeah, it is. Okay? Well, here's what we believe. Okay? You take my guy and monster producer, Scott Abernathy, who manages the properties. He firmly believes with every single pore of his body that this is a good investment. You follow me? And he can make his argument. No matter what you throw at him, he can make his case for why you ought to be buying real estate. And you'd say, well, not a good time. It's a bad time to buy because, and he would sit there and come right back at you and go, I don't think there's ever a bad time to buy. And let me tell you why. So he is so convincing because he studies it so much that, man, he can sit there and if you go back and forth with him, you walk out of there believing one thing. I believe I'm in good hands with this guy because he knows his business. Everybody with me? Okay. Anybody got some other great belief statements they would start off with?
I guess you could say something about if, you know, you were talking about how you wanted a partner, you could always, you know, the one that says, I believe in customer engagement versus customer service. I'm not a transactional real estate agent, so I'm looking for my clients to be my partners too.
That's good. That's good. So let me tell you a way to say that. I believe in a vested partnership versus one-sided relationships. You know, so I say that a lot because when I partner with people, I'm going to put the full force and weight behind it to be successful because I'm not successful unless they're successful. You follow me here? So when you just take whatever you believe and put I believe in front of it, here's what I believe. Get real clear. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's how I'm going to do it different. Here's all the people I'm doing it for. Right? Now, when you have this step-by-step down, there should be no environment that I can put you in that you can't handle what they throw at you. That's really the EOS is not just for them. You realize that, right? It's really for you. It's for you to get clarity about what it is you believe and what it is you do. Okay? So what do you think a good real estate agent should do? So let's say I said, cut through the crap. What are you going to do? What do you do for me? Yes?
I protect one of your largest investments.
Okay.
One of your largest pieces of your portfolio.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
what my EOS says.
Okay. All right. Good. Good. That's a good one. All right. So what else? Say again? Okay. Good. I negotiate on your behalf. Okay. I regulate your emotions. Okay. I actively listen. That's a good one. Okay. Real good one. Very few people, a lot of people listen, but very few actively listen. Okay. And you may even say, I'm sure you've told a real estate agent something in your lifetime about what you wanted, and they didn't listen to one thing you told them. Right? I like attacking a frustration because everybody's like, oh, yeah, I did this. I did this. Okay? So the EOS is critical. What if a magazine calls you and says, hey, we want to do a big story on you, and we're going to highlight everything about you and why you're so wonderful? When you get in that interview and they start going, okay, tell me about you. Well, I believe this. Because of that belief, here's why I chose to go into the real estate profession. Here's what I feel like we do. Here's how we do it a little bit different than everybody else you're going to see. There should be no environment I throw you in that the EOS does not come into play. Okay? And that's why you really need to memorize it. That's why you really need to be ready to give it at a moment's notice with no hesitation. No cue cards. You ain't got to look at anything. This is what you believe. All I'm doing is forcing you to get clear about what you believe, right? Right? Like I believe in attracting business versus chasing business. I believe selling is just the exchange of energy. I believe if you're not selling enough, you're not exchanging enough energy with the universe. I mean, I believe these things, right? I mean, what I see Christy do is go out and exchange energy with the market in a number of ways. See, be seen, be on boards, be involved, be in this. What that does is people are attracted to that energy. And they say, well, I want to do business with a woman who circulates like that and takes her business serious. You follow me? So when you're an agent, when you're just kind of just here, you're not exchanging enough energy and the market's going, I don't even really know who you are, right? How can I do business with you if I don't even know who you are? Okay? All right. Anybody else want to share their first part of their EOS? Here's what I believe. Anybody got anything different? Do you believe every person deserves the right to have a professional represent them when they buy, sell, build, or finance real estate? Do you believe that? Average agent does less than how many deals a year? 12. Yeah, it's like 7 to 12. Do you really want a person representing you on some of the largest transactions, right? I mean, I don't know about you, but I want some experience here. Now, if you're just getting started, you're kind of selling your potential. Okay? All right, let's finish up today with this one. If I were walking around the Wilson Group, okay, your big homework assignment from this session, the next one is to go to work on these 7 touches. Now, I could give you my 7 touches, and I've tried that, but they wouldn't work for you. Your touches have a lot to do with your personality and your collateral that you create. So part of my touch system is this challenge, because that's who I am. I'm a coach and you expect me, but it also has to do with the enormous amount of collateral I've created. Videos, audios, blogs. You understand what I'm saying? So we include a lot of those touches in ours. Well, if you don't have that stuff, that's not going to work for you. So I could tell you, I write a blog every Sunday. That Sunday goes out to people. I turn around and send that to influencers, right? So, when I did this show with my wife yesterday, I'm gonna use that as a follow-up tool, because it may be a new way to hit people that didn't get it the other way, right? Hey, watch this video, my wife and I, talking about how it doesn't come in a box, whatever, okay? So I create all this collateral in my follow-up, and I tell my sales team, key in on one thing. If they say they struggle with follow-up, send them my video $1 million follow-up. If they say they struggle with how to extract referrals, send them this. You need to be thinking about that. Like if I'm you, I'm going to write a PDF that says the 7 ways to get more money on your house. I'm going to write a PDF on why timing is never right to make a decision. You understand what I'm saying? And then I'm going to send you that PDF for you to view, so I've got something to send you. Those are indirect jabs. Okay? Let's pretend that the Grim Reaper, Coach Burt, is at your real estate office. And I'm walking around on a Monday, and I got my planner out here, and I've already done my work for the day. I've already mapped out my day, right? And I'm walking around, and I'm looking for something. What am I looking for in your planner? So it's Monday morning. We're all, right? We're back from the weekend. And I'm walking around, and I'm like, okay, don't think I won't show up one day at your office and do this, because I will. And I'm walking around, and I'm like, okay, ladies, I got mine filled out. What should be on this planner? There's 3 or 4 big things should be on there every single day. What are they?
Your list of
Yeah,
people you're going
okay. And we call that what?
Hit list.
Hit list. People we can help with our services. New money. I should see that every day. I should be able to walk to any person at your company and go, show me who's on your hit list right now. And I don't want it up here. I want it. This imprints it in the subconscious mind. I want you to say, sure. If I was your broker, here's what I'd ask you. Why? Why are they on your hit list? What makes you think they're a good fit for us? Well, I met them at a party the other night. I know they have a very good job. I know they can afford a house. Somebody told me they're looking for a new house, right? Or I'm going after strategic partners this week. So I'm going after an attorney. I'm going after a CPA. You understand what I'm saying here? That's who's on my hit list. I'm going to push you. I'm going to say, what's your plan to get their attention? Well, I got a connection here I'm going to use. Then I'm going to ask you, okay, got an A on that one. Then I'm going to ask you, what? Who else should be on here? Your? All right, we're not there yet, but I like how you're thinking. Your farm club, which means what? People who have indicated interest in your services that you have not closed. I've called in. You've called me back with your script, right? But for some reason, I'm just sitting on the fence. So think of your farm club as I'm on the fence. I have not taken action yet. And you should have 3 to 5 of those a day. I'm walking around, I'm like 3 to 5 of these. Okay? Then we should have maybe some new clients that you signed up. We call that the net promoter. So it's like, hey, I signed up these 2 people. They're new clients. Here's what I'm doing for them this week to kind of make it a great experience. And I call that onboarding. And I'm just saying, hey, I've got a new client. Now I'm slowing down, and I'm spending a little bit of time with them because I really want those 5.7 referrals. Okay? And then the final piece that should be on there every day should be what? My top 25, which are my biggest advocates. And I typically have 2 or 3 people in my top 25 per day. So if I'm walking around the offices, all of that should be in your planner. Now, you may not get to all of it today. Don't feel like you failed. I want to get you in a forward posture. You will be in the top 1% of real estate agents if I can get you doing this every day. You do realize that, right? I mean, I could speak to 1,000 real estate agents and say, pull out your plan for today and show me how you mapped it out. And it may be 1 or 2 out of 1,000. It's a very reactive industry, which drives me crazy. Let's play offense. And playing offense means you thought enough of your day today that you actually spent 5 minutes last night planning it. Because your day's important. Remember, you're a professional. And professionals show up ready to perform. They don't show up and go, what am I going to do today? Okay? I spend about 6 to 8 hours every Sunday planning for the week. Okay? I just don't roll in here and not think about what I'm going to say. I think about where you are, what I need to talk about, how do I tie it together. But it's not just you. There's probably 15 other people I'm doing that for. So I plan, I map it out. I first start just by drawing it up. So I just draw up pictures. Here's what I'm going to do with the Wilson Group. Then I map it out. Then I type it up. So I spend a lot of time preparing to be good. Everybody with me here? Now, do I love that? No, I don't love it. But it's just part of the deal to being good, okay? So I got to get you in this forward mindset of I'm mapping my day out every day. And listen, I'm hitting that hit list and I'm hitting that farm club every day. That's how I don't have these big jumps in my business. Because agents are very inconsistent. And a lot of it's based on how they feel. I've already taken my feelings out of it. This was determined last night. Okay? If I don't feel like it, it don't matter. Everybody with me? It don't matter how you feel. You show up, you grow up, and you deliver the goods, okay? So your homework assignment from today is you're going to go to work on your 7-touch system. Okay? And I want it to be specific for you. Think of this. Touch 1 is maybe you make contact with me, every which way you make it. Touch 2 may be a summary of that. Touch 3 may be a phone call. Touch 4 may be try to get me face to face. I don't know what your specific one's going to be, but it needs to be a progression of things. Till by touch 7, I'm in, man. I'm ready to go. Okay? But this is a rhythm that I want you to get in a rhythm of every time you got somebody in your pipeline, you're working this 7-touch system. Okay? And you may have to go back and create some more collateral to have something to go back with for some indirect sales. I suspect some of you will. You just don't have enough videos and audios and things like that. So you're relegated to one thing. What? Phone call or text message. Get creative with this, okay? Any questions? Okay. Listen, thank you for being so coachable, guys. I worked a lot of teams. Okay? Jack, I know you're going to get this on film. Okay, I don't hurt anybody else's feelings. But I really enjoy working with you guys because you show up, you're hungry, you're motivated. It's a good exchange of energy, right? Some people I got to pull it out of them, you know? And I'm only looking really to work with people who want to perform at a very high level, aren't you? And like gravitates toward like. So what you're going to do is you're going to attract clients toward you that think the same way you do. They're going to be progressive, they're going to be hungry, they're going to be sophisticated, and it's going to be a great exchange of energy. And you're going to get energy from it versus have your batteries drained by people that you're kind of that one-sided relationship where you're doing all the work, okay? Questions? All right, thanks guys. Have a great day. Thank you.